Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today we're going to be reviewing Jo Nesbo, The Redbreast. This is book number 3 in Jo Nesbo's Harry Hole series. Yeah, I'm not making that up. The detective is actually named Harry Hole. He's Norwegian. Some people say Harry Hooley. Some people say Harry Hull Hole. I say it's Harry Hole like it's spelled. It is what it is. And so I reviewed book number 1, The Bat, earlier this year. I reviewed book number 2, Cockroaches, earlier this year, and I loved both of those books. Now, what did I think of book number 3, The Redbreast? This one came out in 2003. We always review the covers. The cover is cool. It matches the other covers. I mean, we'll go up here. I'll show you my Jo Nesbo Harry Hole collection. I've got them right there. You can see them right there. All of the spines look like they match, and like the whole thing is like part of a series. So I give the publisher props for making sure that everything looks good on the shelf, at least as far as the paperbacks go so far in the series. I mean, I don't know if the series is done or yet. I don't know. There might be more books in the series and they end up fucking that up. But we'll see. So, how does this work? Harry Hole is a detective in Norway. And these books are very grim, very gritty. If you watched my review of Cockroaches, you will know that that was probably one of the most brutal books I've ever read, and I've read some brutal stuff. I work in the state prison, and I see a lot of brutal stuff, and even Cockroaches made me kind of go, "Woo, this Jo Nesbo guy writes some grim, gruesome." He writes about some stuff that it's hard to read. But The Redbreast was a little bit more palatable than Cockroaches. It starts out with Harry Hole on the security duty of the U.S. president is coming to Norway, and Harry Hole, along with the Secret Service of the United States, is doing security duty around Oslo, Norway, so that the president doesn't get shot. Now, we know that this is President Clinton, not only because this book is set in 1998, but Harry Hole makes reference to the U.S. president's kind of a philanderer and maybe cheats on his wife with young interns. So you can only assume that he's talking about Clinton, even though Clinton isn't expressly mentioned in the book. So anyway, during this security detail, Harry Hole and his partner, they see a guy with an Uzi, and the Secret Service hasn't said that guy belongs to them. So they just think it's an assassin, and so Harry Hole runs to stop the assassin, and things turn sideways and shitty and go ass over teapot real quick. That's one plot line. Another plot line involves a white supremacist in court for beating to death a Muslim immigrant shish kebab street cart owner guy to death with a baseball bat. So he's in prison for that crime. He's in court for that crime, and Harry Hole also has to testify in that situation. That's plot 3. There's another plot with an old man who seems to be a dude steeped deeply in paganism, Norse mythology, white supremacy, Nazis, socialism, communism, all of that stuff. And we've got that guy. And then the 4th plot line takes us back to the 1944 in World War II, where we're dealing with a bunch of Nazis and secret societies involving the Nazis and stuff like that. This book jumps, unlike the first 2 books, which were pretty linear. This book jumps from each 4 of those plot lines, and they are all set in different times. So it's like, 3 months from now, and then today, and then a year from now, or a year later past, and then in 1945. So we're bouncing all over the place. The structure of the book I did not care for. I'll be honest, I don't care for books that bounce it back and forth in time and plot lines. I like linear books. And they have to be done superbly well for me to like the All the Light You Cannot See by Dior was a great example of a book that bounces back and forth that kept my attention. This one, the structure took me out of the book quite a bit. However, that being said, I think that all the plot lines and everything come together well, and everything is grim, gritty, and there's a lot of insight into a lot these characters. This book, the theme of this book boils down to socialism versus capitalism, communism versus democracy, and a lot of people in these pages debate all of that stuff because there's a lot of white supremacy going on in here. And after reading this book, I would not be able to pin down whether the author himself would fall to the left or the right. I can tell which characters in the book fell to the left or the right, which characters believed in democracy and capitalism, which characters thought that democracy and capitalism were the biggest evil on the planet, and then which characters thought socialism and communism were like some sort of grand utopia. And I know which characters felt those things. I would not be able to guess what Jo Nesbo is, which is a good thing to do in a book, is you can put politics in a book and you can have characters debate politics in a book, and I think you can get across a lot of good points. And the fact that he masked the fact that I have no idea what the author's political affiliation would be. And I admired that about this, because I enjoyed those debates. In fact, that was the best part of the book, is I enjoyed the debates that the characters had back and forth about all of those subjects, because they're relevant even today. Even though this book was written in 2000, we still talk about that today. Like, people want to be socialist. People think that's the grand idea. People want to be capitalist. They think that's the grand idea. Should we be in the middle? Who knows? If you followed my channel, you probably know that I lean more towards capitalism is good. But that's just me, and I don't expect everybody to agree with me. If you were to read my books, hopefully you would never know if I was a Republican or a Democrat. Hopefully you would never know. Now, if you read my books, you might be able to guess that I'm a atheist, because I don't treat religion kindly in my books. But that's a failing of mine. People have read my books and guessed. And I was like, damn it, failed. I didn't want them to know. Jo Nesbo did a good job with that. Anyway, what do I think of Redbreast as a whole? I actually was disliking it because of the jump back and forth in time, but then I started to get into it, and it rose again up to the level of the first two books, and I love the first two books. And then it rose slightly above the first two books just because it's thicker. The first two books were about 300 or 400 pages, and this is about 550 pages. So we get more bang for our buck with this one. So I like this one slightly more. I'm going to give this one a good 9.5 out of 10. I think it's good. That's probably what I gave the other two anyway. But anyway, Redbreast, Harry Hole, Jo Nesbo. Good series.